Hey everybody, this is TJR. On May 27th, HBO Max will premiere its new streaming service, and as part of its program will be the exclusive Looney Tunes Cartoons animated series Season 1. Now, Season 1 is going to be 80 episodes of new original animated shorts featuring the classic Looney Tunes characters, including Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, Sylvester Cat, Tweety Bird, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, Tasmanian Devil, Foghorn Leghorn, Beaky Buzzard, Pepe Le Pew, Marvin the Martian, and Pete Puma, just to name a few. Now, the history and evolution of the Looney Tunes characters as we know them today debatedly begins with the first appearance of Porky Pig in the 1935 cartoon, I Haven't Got a Hat. But where things probably really get kick-started is with the official first appearance of Bugs Bunny in the 1940 cartoon, A Wild Hare, directed by the legendary Tex Avery. And for you hardcore cartoon aficionados out there, I stress the word official first appearance, and I'll circle back to that in a moment. During the 1930s and through the 1960s, Warner Brothers released approximately somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 Looney Tunes and Merry Medley's cartoons featuring these classic characters. And most animation buffs will cite the 1930s through the 1950s as the golden era for these cartoons. Now, having watched hundreds of the very best of these cartoons, I would have to describe that the driving force behind the majority of these cartoons as comedy out of conflict. Stories for these original Golden Age shorts were minimal and were driven by a simple situation. Elmer Fudd wants to hunt rabbits, Bugs wants to survive. Now, since then, there have been some attempts at recontextualizing these characters in both film and TV and to suit a modern audience. Some of these attempts have been more successful than others. The most recent being the Looney Tunes show, which had them trading in the physical comedy that they were known for during their golden era for more dialogue-driven modern sitcom-style comedy.
Here's some more pork ribs.
I find that highly offensive.
What? You eat pepperoni pizza.
Is it so?
Pepperoni?
It will be a what?
I want to state for the record that while I had some mixed feelings about the Looney Tunes show, I have nothing against reinterpreting these characters for different forms of media and for different media formats outside of the original 6-minute shorts that they were originally created for. But judging from the advanced trailers, it would appear that these new cartoons are an attempt to return these characters to their original greatness as short cartoons with the emphasis on comedy out of conflict. And like those golden era cartoons, using the kind of physical comedy that can only be done in animation, but mostly as comedy for the sake of comedy and as animation for the sake of animation. Now, the first full-length advanced cartoon, Pest Coaster, is being previewed on YouTube right now. So what did I think of Pest Coaster? It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. It opens with a trope that will be very familiar to fans of the classic cartoons. Bugs Bunny, while tunneling to a vacation destination, takes a wrong turn.
Hello, Democratic Republic of Congo. Maybe I should have turned left at Luxembourg.
And ends up in a large amusement park that is referred to as the third or fourth happiest place on Earth, give or take. Now, at this point, I began to wonder if the entire cartoon would just be making fun of Disneyland, which would have been fine with me. Classic Looney Tunes of the past satirized popular culture, events, and celebrities of their time, so I think it's natural to have them satirize the current events, celebrities, and the culture of today. But instead, the cartoon quickly abandons that possibility and goes with the aforementioned classic comedy out of conflict motif. Bugs wants to ride the Murderizer roller coaster ride, and Yosemite Sam claims that no rabbits are allowed.
Oh, it's perfect!
And if you know Bugs, you know that if you tell him he can't do something, well, it's going to be his mission to make sure that he does it. Thus begins the battle of wills and comedy out of conflict. Now, in this cartoon, there were some jokes that got a good smile out of me, and one involving dynamite that I thought I saw coming but was surprised when it moved in a different direction that made me laugh out loud when it did. Another familiar trope used in Pest Coaster is Bugs dressing up as a woman to basically seduce and fool his opponent.
Room for one more rider.
Why, yes, of course. Right this way.
Why, thank you.
This has been used numerous times in the classic cartoons to great comic effect.
Yes, I would just love a duck dinner.
And I have nothing against using these older classic cartoon tropes that made the original so funny, but I hope that this new series of cartoons will be more than just nostalgia mining. If you're going to reuse the classic tropes, do try to find unexpected or surprising ways to reuse them so that it's not just, hey, remember when the classic cartoons did this to make you laugh out loud? Well, guess what? We're doing it again. Aren't you laughing? Now, before I sound too negative, I want to state that reviewing this one cartoon is incredibly unfair coming from someone like me who has watched hundreds of the original classics, because this one cartoon has to compete against my memories of having watched hundreds of some of the funniest moments that these classic cartoons have had to offer.
Such an interesting monster, too. My stars, if an interesting monster can't have an interesting hairdo, then I don't know what things are coming to.
And in fairness, I should add that the original Looney Tunes cartoons took years to develop into how we remember them today. They didn't just pop onto theater screens fully formed. There were a number of prototype Bugs Bunny cartoons before the first ever official Bugs Bunny cartoon. But I also have to be honest and state that Wild Hare, the very first ever official Bugs Bunny cartoon, was funnier than this one. In fact, to be honest, so were those earlier prototype Bugs cartoons. Of course, I have no idea where this particular short fits into the production order. Was it the first one produced? Was it further down the line? I don't know. But I can see why it would be the first one that they would preview, since it's basically kind of saying we are respecting the legacy of these classic characters and the great directors who made them by emulating that style, which is great. But I do hope they go beyond that. Now, it does seem to appear that different directors will be doing their own takes on these classic characters. If so, I hope that Warner Brothers will give these directors a lot of free rein to express their own personal interpretations versus forcing all of them to fit into a certain model. If they give these directors room for artistic expression, I personally may not like every single one of them, but at the very least, they will be interesting and they will be different. And yes, I'm probably being very difficult here because I do want to see these characters brought back to their original glory. I do want these new cartoons to be as funny and as enjoyable as the original classics, yet at the same time, I don't want them to just replay what we've already seen. Also, if you're an aficionado, you know that a lot of times during the course of those theatrical cartoons, these directors, writers, and artists who made these cartoon shorts repeated themselves over and over numerous times, sometimes remaking the same cartoon, but they always found a way to keep them somehow fresh and funny, no matter how many times Bugs dressed up as a woman, no matter how many times Yosemite Sam locked himself into a room full of dynamite. With all that said, I am optimistic and looking forward to checking out the rest of this series. Over the years, I have been very vocal, and I have complained that Warner Brothers has been wasting the potential of these classic cartoons and its many characters. So I'm happy to see them taking proactive steps to changing this. I have also heard that in addition to these new cartoons, HBO Max intends to have hundreds of the original classic Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons available on the streaming service as well. I hope this is true. I talked to so many young adults who have never really seen these original cartoon shorts, many of which are masterpieces of comedy, and they're just waiting to be rediscovered. By the way, I should mention that over at the competition, Disney Plus, along with having a lot of their classic animated theatrical shorts featuring their characters, they also have the newer Mickey Mouse shorts using their classic characters that are reinterpretations of the original characters and are heavily influenced by the work of John Kay, creator of Ren and Stimpy, and are enjoyable and funny. But in addition, they also have new animated shorts that are unique and very individual and very different from anything they've ever done before. I'm not sure why nobody in animation is really talking about that. And I think a little bit more attention needs to be drawn to that. At any rate, I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for the best when Season 1 premieres. And would you like to see a follow-up video where I give my thoughts after these new Looney Tune cartoons premiere? Hey everybody, TJR from the future here. Just as I was about to upload this video, I discovered that a new second advanced short preview has been released. The short is entitled Wet Cement. It stars Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. And this second short I thought was much funnier than the first one. So I take that as a very positive sign that they are moving in the right direction. Anyways, just wanted to share that. I will now resume control of this video to myself in the past. And what are your thoughts? Are you a fan of these classic cartoons, and are you looking forward to checking out these new shorts, and will you be? Looking forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
That's it!